Hi everybody, sorry I'm a few minutes late. Give me just a second to set up here. I hope you are doing well. Happy Monday. Happy magical Monday morning. If you would do me a favor, can you put in the comment box below if you can hear and see me okay? Let me know. All right, looks like there's a couple people here already. Hi Jenna, hi Anna. Good to see you guys. All right, I'm pulling up comments now. Okay, Mario is here. Good to see you, Mario. Rebecca's here. Leonie's here. Hi, Leonie. I just added you to the group for the 6-month program. So after I get off live stream, I will do the whole welcome thing with you. Hi, Jennifer. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We are going to be talking about how to shift from being just a tarot reader, and there's nothing wrong with just being a tarot reader, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of you in here aspire to be more. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Mary. Good. Okay, everybody's coming on in. All right. Oh, I'm missing the most important part. I have to have the crown on, okay? The magic only works if I have the crown on. All right, so let's get into it. I am Christina. We have a lot of new people in the group as of the last couple weeks, so I just want to preface this real quickly with, hi, who am I? What do I do? What are we doing here? You know, that sort of thing. So I'm Christina. I run the Profitable Psychic Divination and Business Academy. You are probably watching this in the group right now if you're watching this live. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are watching a replay. So I have a group on Facebook. We would love for you to come on over and join us. If you look in the description box below on the YouTube, and you will see like a pinned post. If you look there, you will see a link to join our group. So come on over, answer the 3 questions, and then, you know, you can come and attend live trainings like this, and we can get to know each other, and you can come join the community. And there's just a lot of great people here to hang out with and get to know. Today, we're going to be talking about how to shift from being a tarot reader to a spiritual life coach. And this is like a really big jump for a lot of people. So we're going to talk more about that here in just a few minutes. But I wanted to just kind of start a little bit with my story. I'm going to actually tell you a little bit of a different story today. I have many aspects to my story. Most of you know my story as far as like, you know, what prompted me to start getting into doing this professionally full time. That's all documented all on my YouTube channel many, many different times. So today I'm going to tell you how I got started, like period, like how I even got into wanting to do this. And it's probably a story that's very similar to yours. And I would love for you to share your story with us when you're feeling brave enough to do that. You can start a new thread, or you can comment below on this live training, and I will go back through and I will make sure I read everybody's stories. Hi, Chelsea. Good to see you. My little bear. Good to see you. So many of you have been following me probably for years. Maybe you're new, but most of you have been around, you know, me for a couple years. I've been doing business coaching for psychic entrepreneurs for 4 years now, almost exclusively, well, pretty much exclusively. And I've moved my tarot readings more to like business type of tarot readings. And I log on the hotlines every once in a while. It's not really my main source of income. And actually, I don't really even consider that to be my income anymore. That's more like my play money. And I want to get you to this point too, where you can kind of shift off the hotlines, because I'm sure a lot of you are starting to realize that while the hotlines start out off as great and the money is good, you know, it just brings in a certain type of client that most of us just don't really want to deal with on a long term. And, you know, dealing with the psychic hotlines as a career choice full time, you know, it can be very emotionally draining on you, physically and emotionally draining, right? And so what I do, what my specialty is I actually help tarot readers who want to learn how to make money right away with tarot cards. And I help you get on the lines that's not exactly my passion. I'm good at teaching you how to do that simply because I've been doing that since 2012. I've been on the psychic hotlines for a really, really long time. I've done over 5,000 plus readings, and that's probably being very modest. I've probably done maybe double that. Okay. And just as far as like not really keeping tabs on it, but like compiling all of my reviews, and you can keep analytics on it and things like that depending on some of the psychic hotlines. Some of my profiles are no longer there, or sometimes they'll wipe them. So I just say 5,000. That's a low end number, but still I'm probably being really modest when I say that. But my actual passion is helping people get off the psychic hotline, starting to run their own business. And I actually specialize in online marketing and content creation for people who want to be more than just a tarot reader, who want to start their own academy, start their own online school, for people who want to start getting into spiritual life coaching where you're selling packages for $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. Okay. So thinking more in terms of like wealth creation, and also getting into passive income. Passive income has really been a big passion of mine over the last couple years. I've really started getting into that because I'm finding that I can either, sell my time one-on-one with people for a specific set amount of money, or I can spend that same time and I can make unlimited amount of money in the future from that same hour. So that's where I am now. As far as like what I'm specializing in the future, it's going to be more about, passive income and things like that. But just a little bit about me personally. So I've been reading for 10 years professionally. 7 of those have been full time. 4 of those have been as a psychic business coach. And I have created a multi 6-figure business selling over the years, selling spiritual services, courses, and group programs and things like that, which is like stuff that I teach about in the mentorship program. And what that means is I've generated over $500,000 from psychic services and psychic products over the last 10 years or so. More than that, but I don't really count the time that I was working at another job. I just really start counting the time from when I started full time. I've also paid off $100,000 of debt just working on the psychic hotlines alone. And actually, I have a video about that on my YouTube channel. So you can go back and look. And I also have a video about how to like raise your credit and things like that. So some of the things I went through to get really in control of my financial future and to start taking things seriously, because being self-employed means there's no health insurance, there's no 401k, there's none of those things, those cushy things that you get at like a job or working for a corporation or something like that. So what that means is you have to start thinking about that in terms of how are you going to create that for yourself. And while I am grateful for the psychic hotlines, they're not my passion. So my passion, like I said, is helping tarot readers get off the psychic hotlines and creating a 6-figure business in your own psychic service-based business. And typically that also involves dipping into like group programs and passive income and things like that. When I started out, I'm going to tell you guys a story that is a big part of my life that I don't really talk about that much. And I don't really talk about it that much because it's very painful to talk about, but I've shared it Friday night for the first time, in a group setting when I was doing the astral travel certification that we just did on Friday, which was so much fun. We did an astral travel tour. We did remote viewing. We went to different sacred sites around the world, and it was just a lot of fun. And I actually did something brave, and I actually told my story, a very minute, little teeny part of it, but I actually told the deeper, more not glamorous, parts of the story. And I wanted to share that with you guys today, just to kind of let you guys know that I've been there. I know where a lot of you are, and I know why you want to be a tarot reader other than the money is good. I know why you want to help people, and I want to share with you why I really got into this, why I really wanted to help people. So it was probably 2009, 2008, somewhere around that time zone. And I had a miscarriage. I had a late term miscarriage, and I miscarried because I hemorrhaged out, and I was in the ICU for 3 days, and I almost died. And when I was going through that period, it was I did feel like part of me died. Like I just felt so much like emptiness and I needed closure. So I started going to mediums. I had never been to a psychic before. I had never done anything like that other than have my own tarot cards, which I really didn't use or anything like that. You know, I had Ouija boards and stuff like that. But previously, it was more of a novelty for me. You know what I mean? It was just like something fun, something entertaining, something that didn't hold a lot of value. So I went to several mediums. I went to a couple that weren't very good, to be honest with you. Some did more damage to me than, helped me. But when I finally found a medium who also read tarot cards, she was able to give me a lot of closure because I was worried about a lot of things like, is the baby okay? Like just so many different things running through my mind. And so when I went through that period, it took me about a year to finally find a good medium and, have that kind of transformational experience. And on the other side of that, when I started healing from that, I decided that I wanted to start doing mediumship readings for other people who were going through a similar situation because I had went through psychotherapy, I had been medicated, I was in a really deep depression and nothing really helped me. The medication didn't help, the psychotherapy didn't help, but the mediumship did help, which was really, really incredible and something that's kind of groundbreaking right now, even today, where it's just now starting to really see that therapists are starting to incorporate tarot and tarot people are starting to incorporate psychotherapy and things like that. And so we have this really great sort of like merging of these two spiritual sciences and psychological sciences kind of merging together. And that's kind of like what I feel like a spiritual life coach is. They're not necessarily like just a tarot reader. They're not necessarily just a therapist, but they're somewhere in between. And this is actually a very, very ancient role that we've forgotten about. And we've forgotten about it. Psychology, the study of psychology is only about 250 years old, maybe 300 years old at this point. That's, in the whole human history of the last 10 to 20,000 years of modern humans, that's a very small blip in time. That's not very much time. So what did people do before then? Well, they would see shamans, right? They would go to healers. And so that's what I really feel that the spiritual life coach is it's taking up that role that we have had that was so primal and so ingrained into society where, the shamans and the healers would actually get paid. Now, maybe they wouldn't get cash money, but they would get goats or livestock or food or herbs or, they would let the shaman live in their house for a period of time. The shamans didn't have to worry about the bills. All they had to worry about was how they were going to heal the people in front of them, how to be of service. And so again, we're going to talk about a little bit more about that later. But, when I went through that experience, I decided that I wanted to start offering mediumship readings, and I started to do that. And I did it on eBay, and I sold readings for $1. And because I was just doing it, I was just testing it out. I was just trying to be helpful. And then most of you know the next part of my story where a couple years later, about 3 years later, I actually got laid off from my job. And so I had to kind of figure out, how I was going to pay the bills, right? And so then, you can read the rest of my story or listen to the rest of my story. If you actually go on my YouTube, there is a Make Tarot Your Business 5-day challenge. It's completely free. The first day is how to get in touch with your big why. And it's that video in which I talk more about that, that story. And I talk about like how I found my tarot cards. And most of you probably remember this. I found my tarot cards. My father-in-law just passed away. I was going through a really rough time, just been evicted. My car was repossessed. I got laid off from my job and I had to start making money. And I remembered the Miss Cleo commercials. And so I ran upstairs like lightning fast, ran upstairs, typed in psychic hotlines on Google, and the rest is history at this point. I just applied to the very first one, which was Keen, made about $14, maybe $20 in my first couple hours, and that was all she wrote. I was hooked ever since that point. I was able to get to a point where I was able to make money, and I was able to get myself out of debt, and then from there I was able to get myself further out of debt, and now, I have a house that's paid off, I have a savings account, I have a retirement plan, I have life, and I have all of these things, but it took me about 3 or 4 years to get to a point where I could save enough money and pull myself out of the dumpster of my life, and get myself in a position where I actually felt like I had control over my life and financial security, and things like that. But, a lot of you probably have a very similar story. A lot of you probably have a whole period of this whole dark night of the soul that kind of led you to this place. It's very rare that people actually come to tarot reading just because they think they can make a lot of money. And I'm sure that you actually had a lot of ideas about what you thought it was going to look like, right? So you probably thought you were going to just set up your shop and your tarot reading shop, and people would just come and get readings from you. And, you would be working with these people that want the deep transformational change. You'd be working with the people that want to change their life. They want to look at their insecurities. They want to look at their darkness, their shadows. They want to figure out what's blocking them from manifesting the life that they want, or, following their heart's desire. And when you get actually into doing this full time, you kind of have like a cultural shock. You kind of realize that most customers that come to tarot cards kind of view it as something like you did probably before your spiritual awakening, probably, before your dark night of the soul, where you actually understood the transformational value that tarot and plus any other modality, can offer people. And you probably realize that people kind of see you as a novelty. They kind of see you as entertainment. They kind of see you as, someone who can just spit out some predictions for a couple bucks. And, it's not that much different from like maybe going and get your hair done, or, going to Applebee's for dinner or something. There's just not that level of commitment. And there's certainly not that level of commitment on the hotlines. And I think if it wasn't for the rare, once in a while rare unicorn clients that come in that make you remember why you're doing what you're doing, that most of us would have given up. I'm just being honest. Most of us would have given up. We would have just said, there's really nothing to this. And I see this all the time in groups. I see this all the time in tarot groups and magical groups. Oh, I tried to be a tarot reader, but people don't really respect you. Or I was doing readings for $5. You can't make any money doing tarot readings and blah, blah, blah. And my intention is to intercept you before you try to give up. Because there is a whole nother world out there, and you just don't know how to tap into it yet. It requires a whole different set of language, especially marketing language. It requires a whole different mindset, a whole different strategy to actually achieve what you're wanting to achieve. And you can still be a tarot reader. You can be a tarot reader, but to get the type of clients that you want, to make the type of money that you want, it's going to require you to be something more than just a tarot reader, okay? And I remember days where I would be doing anywhere from 25 to 100 readings a day, no joke. I would sell tarot readings for, one card for $5 on Etsy or eBay or something like this. And, I definitely remember when I kind of had that reality check where I realized really quickly that, what I thought this was going to be wasn't actually what this turned out to be. And so I actually got really angry and I got really jaded and resentful. And I started looking for jobs outside the home again because I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to make money, because so canceling out the psychic hotlines, just forget about the psychic hotlines for a moment. But by the time working on my own business, that I was actually making money and stuff like that, it was averaging out to a little bit less than minimum wage anyway, and taxes hadn't even been taken out yet. So there was just no way it was going to happen. And then slowly, I started getting courage more and more to kind of raise my prices. Then I started selling tarot readings for $25 and I started selling readings for $50, you know what I mean? And what I realized is that the type of client that attracts those higher end types of readings and that appeal to the people who want to pay more than just, novelty prices for your services, they don't speak tarot reading language. And that was probably one of the biggest eye openers that I had in regards to how I was going to have to shift everything that I did and said and how I presented myself to people to be able to, get the actual clients that I really want to work with. The clients that you really crave working with, they don't want a tarot reader. They want a life coach. They want a spiritual life coach. They want someone who can help them achieve their goals, but they're not going to search out a tarot reader because higher end clients know that tarot reading is a novelty. They just know that. And so what they're actually looking for is a spiritual life coach. And so where I see so many people go wrong is that they talk about life coaching, they talk about the type of clients that they want, that want the life coaching, the spiritual life coaching, or the mentorship, or the education, those sorts of things. There's different ways you can be a coach. A coach is not just a simple coach. And we'll talk about that more in here in just a minute, about different ways that you can actually be a coach that would actually fit your business and still attract the type of people that you want to work with. But the reality is that these higher end people are not looking for a tarot reader. Now, if you read tarot in conjunction to spiritual life coaching, then you have something really profound and you have something really niche down and you have something that you can really use in a variety of ways to really tap into your psychic abilities and your intuition to be able to offer intuitive advice to your clients and to help them also learn how to connect with and to listen to their own intuition, but they are not looking for a tarot reader. Okay. So that's the first thing that I really realized that was like probably the most mind-blowing thing for me is that everything I thought about tarot reading or everything I thought about running a tarot reading business was basically, not really helpful and not really applicable to what I was trying to do. And so many of you are out there really, really, really reluctant to claim the life coach title. And I get that. But what you have to realize is that your clients are using that language and you either learn to use that language to attract them or you stay stuck where you are. But if you decide to not become a life coach or to represent yourself as a life coach, then what you're doing is you're keeping yourself still in the novelty tarot reader genre and nobody's really ever going to take you seriously. And that's just the truth of it. All right, let me pause for questions real quick. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you. Chelsea says, regarding... Hi, Amethyst. Chelsea says, regarding no retirement built in, etc., my aunt does a 9-to-5 at corporate. And to be honest, I prefer this life. At least I control my destiny as an entrepreneur. She was laid off 20 years of loyal service. Yeah, and that's the thing, too. It's like, they can just let you go. And also, there's no guarantee that really, Social Security and things like that are going to be around for us. So it's like, do you want to put your faith into a system that might not be around? Or do you want to put your faith into cold hard cash that you can actually put in your savings account, that you can invest, that sort of thing. So there's no right or wrong answer for anybody. Everybody can choose their own destiny when it comes to that sort of thing. But to be honest, I would rather have the cash. I would rather have that in my bank account, knowing that it's mine and that I have it, rather than just hoping and praying that something works out. You know what I mean? Mario says, I'm so grateful for the line, so much learning and growth. I love it. So fulfilling, but there are issues for sure. Yeah, and it's like the psychic hotlines are so great for like learning how to read really quickly. They're so great for developing your skills and things like that. Learning how to talk to people, learning how to deal with difficult clients. Everything you're learning on the psychic hotlines will benefit you in the future. But if I had to think about going back there and working full time, like that would just be a big no from me. Like I might just consider going back and finding a regular job, honestly, because I just can't deal. I'm good at it, but I can't deal with it, if that makes sense. And why is my hair being weird? There. Marissa says, that's amazing. Chelsea says, I could do with some goats. I really want some pygmy goats. That's one of my next things is I want to get some land and I want to have goats and I want to have like a farm. I want to have chickens, like that's the next level of self-sustainability to me. Oh, Rebecca says, my first degree was in psychology, but I was disappointed with the reality of it. The spiritual aspect offers us so much more depth. Yep. Leonie says, oh my gosh, that's how they used to pay my grandmother. Yeah. Chelsea says, I want to get to that point. I'm not looking for a house or anything right now, but I just want enough money to pay off my debt and travel and not have major expenses bowl me over. Yeah, for sure. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you. Emily says, this isn't the video that we're going to have homework. No, we're not starting the actual program until next week. Today, I'm just kind of talking about the program. Lisa says, amen. Chelsea says, she loved that company in the old-fashioned way people used to love the workplace, supported it, but it was so frustrating to see her just get laid off like that. Yeah. Lisa says, I don't want to be a Zoltar machine, right? I call it the penny psychic. I kind of like Zoltar. He's fun. Well, you see, the penny psychic has its place, and we can still be the penny psychic, but doing that all day, every day, it's just too much. Okay. Okay, great. Emily says. Okay. So the biggest thing that I see and the thing that I really want to talk about today is imposter syndrome. Because oh my gosh, did I really struggle with this for so long, and I really struggled with this like unnecessarily for so long. I really just I tortured myself with this. You know what I mean? And so I decided to start pursuing spiritual life coaching. This was maybe about 2-3 years into the whole psychic hotline Etsy sort of thing. I was making good money, but I really wanted to stop working on the psychic hotlines. I really just wanted to have my own business. I wanted to set my own schedule. I didn't want to work for anybody else. And I sure as heck didn't want to give them 60% of my commission. I've been paying them for so long and making them so much money for so long that I felt like I was entitled at that point. And that's a big part of it. Mindset is everything. Mindset and how entitled you feel to earn your own money and to claim that for yourself is a big part of you stepping into this and making this shift. But, the thing was for me was imposter syndrome. And I struggled with this for so long. And I'm going to talk about the 3 aspects of imposter syndrome that I see most people struggle with. I'm going to talk about how I struggled with it, how I kind of got over it and that sort of thing. And this went on for years, like literally years. I mean, I would be coaching people, but deep down inside, I would be feeling like a fraud, or I'd be feeling like, just like literally the worst person on the planet. You know what I mean? And there are some main blocks when it comes to overcoming imposter syndrome. There are some things that you need to heal within yourself, that you need to work on with yourself. I had them, and most of my clients now, my spiritual business coaching clients, they have them, or they have had them at some point. And I want to share those blocks with you today so you can understand why making this shift is so difficult, because this is really hard. When you are just a tarot reader and you're trying to become, something more than that, it is really hard. You think you need all these certifications, you think you need all of this training and things like that. And the reality is it's simply not true. Most of you are actually coaches, you just don't even know it yet, or you're reluctant to claim that title because of, some of these issues that we're going to talk about today. But here's the truth of it, okay? Here's the truth. Selling spiritual life coaching services and psychic services based on spiritual life coaching, based on transformational work, is not only going to give you the exact type of clients that you want to work with, but it's actually easier to sell those services and for higher prices. And I know that's like, what? Like your brain's like, that doesn't make any sense. How can I sell something for $100 an hour that I can't even really move for $5 or $10 an hour? And the reality is that it's never about the price. It really is never about the price. It's about if you know the language, if you can speak to someone, if your niche is clearly defined, if you are confidently claiming, your expertise. It's so much more than just the money. It's really never about the cost. It's not about the cost why it doesn't sell. And it has actually everything to do with your level of confidence in yourself, the way you talk about yourself, the marketing language that you use. That's what it is. It's not about how much money you're charging, okay? And the biggest block that I've come into contact with, with myself and with others is imposter syndrome. And it really has a lot to do with fear. And we talk about fear a lot, like, do actions out of love, not fear, blah, blah, blah. But when you are in the fear, it is extremely hard to shift out of that fear. So instead of trying to give you spiritual bypassing techniques, or, ways that you can, like, pretend that you're not afraid, because let's be honest, you are afraid or you aren't, and it's just, there's really no in between. You can try to, make yourself unafraid, but the only way that you're going to overcome and beat fear is through consistent action, that you're doing things that make you afraid. And that's the truth of it. It's called exposure therapy. That's the only way that you're really going to get over things that make you fearful. Because what is fear, right? It's the fear of the unknown. That's what everybody fears. I don't know, or I don't know how to do this. Well, the only way you're really going to become, confident and overcome your fear is to do things that scare the crap out of you over and over and over, until you get some level of, proficiency in it and some level of confidence in it. That's the only way I know how to work through fear. I don't know any other way. Don't know any shortcuts. I can't, activate you. I can't send you Reiki to overcome your fear. It's just the nitty gritty, getting in the trenches, doing this every single day, doing things that make you uncomfortable. Yeah, you might be throwing up in the bathroom before you get on a call, or you might be sweating and hyperventilating and shaking as you're, like, starting the call, or, it doesn't matter. The point is that the only way you're going to get through that fear is if you do the things. And as a coach, I can't make you do the things. I can inspire you to do the things. I can give you tools to make the things easier, but I literally, as a coach, cannot show up to your house, kick your butt, and tell you, I cannot force you to do anything. And that is perhaps the hardest part about imposter syndrome to work with, and fear to work with, because nobody can do it for you but you. And that's just the truth. That's just the reality of it. And fear of, being an imposter comes from a lack of confidence in most cases, but it can also come from an overconfidence, and it can come from some other things too. But the biggest thing that I hear is that people think they're a fraud. And, rightfully so. And actually, I think that's really healthy, because there are frauds in every vocation, right? We know that there's psychic frauds that goes on, like, oh yes, you have this curse and it's going to be $1,000 for me to remove it. And, you need to pay cash, and it has to be right now. It has to be before the new moon, or you're doomed forever. Like, we know that there is questionable behavior that goes on in this industry. And so it's actually very natural for you to feel like a fraud. It's actually very natural for you to be conscious of that, because it's not something we want to admit that exists, but it does exist. And that's why we have to work so much harder to, polarize ourselves from the ideas that perpetuate fraud, from, the low vibe types of actions that some readers and psychics kind of take in the name of, cash and that sort of thing. But there's frauds in every vocation, and the reality is that if you care enough to not want to be a fraud, that's exactly what separates you from the fraud. So just think about that for a minute. If you are aware of it, you can make it part of your mission and your life purpose to revolve around authenticity. And I am huge on authenticity. That's like one of my big things when I talk about personality marketing, which is marketing is what I specialize in. It's what I teach in the Make Your Business Mentorship program. That's like the big thing, personality marketing. Sell yourself. You don't need to do the Instagram life model, on the Cabana beach and drinking Mai Tais. And, you don't have to do that staged crap in order to sell yourself. You can actually be who you are. And that's actually revolutionary right now, because 7-8 years ago, it was all about the perfect life, being the perfect person and always having everything together. And that's the only way that you would sell, is if, you had a husband that would take photos of you on doing things and putting it on your Instagram. And that does sell. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it's a very low vibe way to sell. It's a very impulse driven way to sell. It does not build trust, and it does not build relationships. It does not build connection. It does not build transformation. That's just how I feel about it. But imposter syndrome, it equates to three things. There's three things I've noticed about imposter syndrome. Either you don't know enough about something, or you know too much about something, Or there's a third aspect, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But the first aspect of imposter syndrome, with just not knowing enough, that's easy. I mean, just go sign up on Udemy. Just go take a course on Udemy. Go take a 15, 10, $20 life certification course on Udemy. Just, go take some tarot courses. Go learn about, whatever modality you're into, Reiki, yoga, chakras, like whatever. Just go start learning about it. Start buying some books. Start investing your time into that. You're going to want to study at least one modality for at least 1 year before you can even consider yourself to be somewhat proficient at it. So that's not what a lot of people I think here are struggling with, but that's like the easiest, most fixable type of imposter syndrome that is out there. You just go take some courses, just go learn some stuff, like it's really not that hard. But that's easy. The hard part comes after that. And this is where most people get hung up. The hard part is where you know too much, where you spend too much time like specializing in too many different modalities, and you sort of become like this jack of all trades. And it's one thing to know a lot about, to know a little about a lot. And that's good because that means that you have resources. It means that you, have different modalities you can send people to. It means that you can speak a whole bunch of different language. You can figure out like what it is your client is really looking for, or just your general knowledge of certain modalities. You can be like, oh yeah, okay, well, maybe a tarot reading isn't going to really help you, but maybe if we do some chakra healing or something like that, maybe that's actually what you need. So you should be knowledgeable at least in a couple of 2 to 3 different, metaphysical / spiritual sciences that are really common. I would say like chakras is really big, Reiki is really big, tarot, oracle card readings are really big, that sort of thing. Like those are probably the big 3 ones. There's more, but that's what's coming to my mind right now. But you should know a little about a lot. The problem comes when you study something for years and years and years on end, and it just becomes easy for you. And so there is a psychological effect. I can't remember what it's called right now, but there is an effect that happens, is that when you become too knowledgeable in an area, you feel like a fraud, you feel like an imposter because it becomes too easy for you. You begin to devalue the knowledge that you know because it's so easy. So it's like, so the teaching, the training, all of the stuff that becomes so easy for you because you just know it because you've been studying it for so long. And if you have abundance blocks, which is a really, really big part of it too, there's, working on your money mindset is so, so important. And that's a constant battle. Even I am working on my money mindset every single day. When I want to say I can't afford something, or when I say I can't have something, or when I say I can't charge that much for something, every single day of my life, I have to challenge those beliefs, because I've had 20 plus years of conditioning telling me otherwise. So however long you've been conditioned to think one way, chances are, it's going to take you that long to kind of redo a complete 180. And some things are going to be easier to grasp than other things. Some abundance blocks are going to be easier for you to move through than other abundance blocks. But the one I want to talk about today specifically is the abundance block around that if you don't suffer for it, or if it's not difficult for you, or if you're not being challenged by it, then you don't deserve it. Okay. That's one of the biggest ones that I see. And so therefore you must be a fraud, right? You must be an imposter because it's so easy for you. Who are you to think you could charge $400 an hour for something that is so beyond easy for you that you could literally do it in your sleep? And that really is like it can be really psychologically damaging on you, even though, everybody else out there in the world thinks that you are a genius. You think that it's nothing special. You really devalue yourself. And the reality is that most of you actually know more than you think you know. And it's because you're not making that shift because you discount how special and you discount how intelligent you are. And it's because this knowledge comes easy for you. Or maybe you just have a really good knack for something. Maybe you just pick up something. Maybe learning tarot cards wasn't a struggle for you. Maybe you just started reading like I did. I just started on the psychic hotline. I didn't really know anything about tarot cards. I knew what they were, but I didn't know that there was majors. I didn't know there was minors. I didn't know there was core cards. I didn't know that there was set meanings. I just literally logged on the hotlines one day, started reading the pictures, and that was it, and from there, I learned through immersion. And then I started taking courses and starting to get better and getting more like meanings that I could pull from. And then I started studying occultism and hermetics and things like that, astrology, numerology, everything like that. And when you are really good at something and when something comes fairly easy to you, it's really easy to discount how special or how unique it is and how valuable it actually can be. You want to own one? Yeah, I would love to own. You know what? I've had this dream. I have this really selfish dream where I have a dollhouse, but I want to turn it into a psychic parlor. I don't know why. I'm just really into that. I really want to do it like a little diorama of like a psychic parlor. And it has like a little, Zoltar, and it has like the little crystal ball and things like that. I don't know. I would just love to do that one day. Ibu says, I have imposter syndrome big time. Yeah, I did too. I really did for so long, and I really tortured myself. Hi, Freya. That's okay. Victoria. Hi, Victoria. Good to see you. I hope you had a great talk in Susie's group. By the way, the Beltane Bash is going on starting today. I will be speaking in there on Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday over in Susie's group. Chelsea says, God, please do not do that stage crap. Early dress in a bear costume and maul you. And unfortunately, a lot of my clients come to me $5,000, $10,000 in debt because they bought into that impulse buy and they thought that that's how to run their business. It really works. And, a lot of my job is actually rehabilitating spiritual entrepreneurs who have invested in programs like that, who are now broke, who need to build themselves out of debt and who are feeling really jaded and resentful of that whole dynamic. So, people can invest in it if they want, but 9 times out of 10, there's another really well-known business coach who teaches about, tarot business. And I kid you not, so many of my people come from her program and tell me that it was a complete waste of time, a complete waste of money, and they wish they found me 3 years ago because I charge like 1/4 of what she charges, and I give an immense amount of value. And I think I do that because that's just a big part of authenticity for me, but it's also a big part of I've been there, I've bought into that, and I don't feel that that's right. And that's part of my mission, part of my big why of why I am a business coach, why I even started business coaching, because I wanted to give people an alternative option than just what they were seeing as the stage stuff. Susan says, thanks, Christina. That's a great idea. It's just people come in for a healing when readings are not quite effective. What's going to help? Or even when a reading is showing a huge obstacle. Yeah, so, I would say have like 2 or 3 modalities up your sleeve, but I would say specialize in 1 to 2 max. Resistant blocks abundance. Yeah, that's a big one. Ibu says, I'm working big time on the money mindset and abundance blocks. Been journaling and also doing spell work. Very good. Susan says, we're psychics. I don't know about the rest of you, but I do work in my sleep. I do. Hi, Susie. Good to see you. Chelsea says, I think if it's not difficult, it's not worth it thing is very prevalent among my generation. Oh yeah, millennials. Yeah, I'm a millennial as well. I'm on the very forefront of millennials because so many of us are suffering in the workplace and financially. Yeah. Let's face it, millennials have so many privileges and luxuries now that past generations didn't. We have access to the internet. We have access to so much information. It's kind of like information burnout if you kind of think about it. Leonie says, that's so true. The intention makes me hide and run. That's really big, Leonie. That is huge. That's huge. Ibu says, this is really hitting the nail on the head for me right now. Good. I'm glad. Chelsea says, regarding not wanting to charge for things that are easy to us, would you say the same if you were in IT, for instance? Computer folks think it's easy, but are happy to charge for what they're worth when their stuff breaks. I think so. I really do think so. And I'll tell you a quick story, very quick story, and then we'll get to the second part of imposter syndrome. So my husband is actually being laid off from his job next month. He's been with this company for 5 or 6 years now. They're only paying him like a certain amount of money per hour. And he has not had a raise the whole time he's been there. And he's been looking around at other jobs, obviously. He's going to take the severance package. They're going to give him a really nice severance package. So we'll be fine, even if he doesn't have a job for like a month, we'll be between me and the severance package and our savings, we're totally good. And that's something that I couldn't really say several years ago. But I'm not, for the first time ever, I'm not worried about my husband losing his job. And even I jokingly said, well, now you can come work for me. And he was like, I love you, but no. So he doesn't want to, but I did throw that bone out there. He's not quite ready yet. I was like, you can just come run my merchandise store. You could just, take orders all day and stuff. And he's like, I love you, but no, I don't think so. Anyways, the point of the story is that my husband is going to be 44 this year. There's a pretty large age gap between us. He has been involved in computer and technology. He's a network administrator. He does network security. He also builds servers, and he's worked with law enforcement and stuff like that to do security cameras and things like that. So he's got a really diverse background. He's very knowledgeable, and he's also got 25 years of experience. When he started applying to other jobs, and most technical jobs out there right now are contract to hire, meaning you work for 3 months on a contract and then they decide if they want to hire you, or a 6 month contract to hire. That's just kind of how it works out here right now. And working with headhunters and things like that. Every single job that he's applying for is offering him between $10,000 and $20,000 more than what he's making now, which means that he has been underpaid for the last 5 or 6 years. And he's just really now starting to understand how much he is being underpaid. And, he has people offering him right out of the gate between $30 and $50 an hour on a contract. That's not even counting like full benefits and 401k and all that kind of stuff that he would get if he actually got hired on. So yes, I would say even people that don't work in our industry still deal with that. And I think it's good every once in a while that if you are in a corporate type job, I still think it's good to start looking for another job somewhere else, just to start fielding offers, just to see what other people are paying. Because what he's realized is that he's, probably lost out on a good $100,000 that he could have made by simply not recognizing how valuable he is. And he works at a job now where it's so funny. We do like the same thing, but he's in support right now where he takes emails and phone calls and chats all day, and he does technical support. He works for hospice. He does technical support for nurses and physicians who work with people with end-of-life palliative care, and he helps them with like their iPads and things like that to be able to get their client info done and things like that. So it's a very important job. People need to be able to access, because these people that they're working with are in most cases terminally ill. So it's a very important job. Well, he's doing all three of those things at the same time, and he's working 45 hours a week. And he's fried. He's done. If you can imagine being on the psychic hotlines and not just having one chat at a time, but working on the psychic hotlines, doing a chat, taking a phone call, and answering emails all at the same time, that's what he does. He's like Superman. He's like, seriously, my hero. I don't know how he does it. But I do definitely think that people across all different industries have this sort of issue. Freya says, I have a lot of difficulties where I cannot find the words to explain what comes so easy now. I find listening is my best quality, but I want to share what I have with integrity and compassion. That's really important. And understanding your strengths is really important too. And when we get to the Freya, you're in the 6-month program, there is going to be a whole training on how to figure out, like, there's a whole quiz that I'm going to have you take. Like, what are your strengths as a coach? What kind of coach are you? That sort of thing. So you can kind of work with that to help you to figure out what kind of programs, what kind of offerings, what kind of passive income ideas, what kind of packages you can put together that will really, amplify and make you excel in what you're good at. Hi, Kathy. Chelsea says, oh, wow, I wonder if the underpaid thing is a generational thing. No need to answer this, just wondering out loud. My aunt is 60. She knows her worth. Everyone under 45-ish that I've met has no idea. I think it's true. I do think it's true. He's like Gen Y or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah. And yeah, it's definitely related to the economy. It's definitely related to the internet. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on here. But yeah. Okay. So, if you are... if you are really, really good at something, or you're really knowledgeable about something, or maybe you just have a really good knack for something, the underlying belief here is that it cannot be worth much to others if it's easy for you. That's the belief that you really, really, really want to challenge, and you really want to work through that one. There's 3 questions you can kind of ask yourself to kind of help you if you want some questions to kind of inspire you. If you want to do like some journal work around this or something like that. 1, what do I absolutely know how to do? 2, what do I have the most experience with? And 3, what am I really good at? And so here's another underlying belief here is like, something I really come into contact with people is I feel like I have to have my life together to be a coach. I feel like I have to have the perfect life to be able to inspire and to help other people. And while that is kind of true, in a way, it's not entirely true. And I'm going to explain that. So to be a coach, you just have to be really good at one thing. You just have to be really knowledgeable. And this is where most people get into trouble because they try to tack on too much knowledge. Actually, if you niche down and you become really proficient in one thing, the reality is that you're going to find selling is so much easier, and you're going to find that that imposter syndrome will go away and it'll become less and less and less. And to become a coach, you do not have to have a perfect life. Lord knows I do not. Me and my husband still fight. We've been married for going almost 15 years. We've been together. We still fight. I still make mistakes. I still have bad days. I am still obviously overweight. Like if I had the perfect life, I would not be. If I really sat down and wrote out like everything that I think has to be perfect or right before I could do my job, I would be live streaming to you from my mansion and on, outside by the pool and maybe in the hot tub surrounded by my pet tigers and drinking out of a gold cup. And, I would think that I would have to present myself in such a way that it seems like, to inspire people, to teach other people how to make money with psychic services, that I would have to be like the extreme of what it is that, people think of when they think of having money. And that's not the truth. The truth is that you only have to really be good at one thing, and you need to know how to get people results with that one thing. That's it. You don't have to have a perfect life just because you excel and let's say you are a self-love coach or a self-love mentor and you help women. Let's say you really like doing relationship readings and you really want to specialize in like twin flames and soulmates and helping women and men find their soulmates or twin flames, and you really specialize in self-love and you teach people, how to love themselves, how to show themselves self-love, that sort of thing, how to work through abandonment issues, that sort of thing, right? Let's say, for example, you want to specialize in that, okay? So does that mean that you have to be, a fitness model? No, it just means that you should probably have a twin flame. You probably should have a positive relationship that you can model to your clients, but it doesn't mean you have to be perfect at everything else. It just means that you have one area in your life where you are so good at that it's so easy for you, and that you can teach other people how to be really good at that, and you can share your knowledge and you can share your expertise. It is never about, being perfect. It is never about being the perfect person or having it all figured out. There's still things that I don't know, but I know a lot, but there's still things that I don't know. There's still things that I'm learning every single day. And that kind of leads me into the third aspect of this, where I kind of see this going for people who actually have been having some success with selling life coaching, and this is where I'm really specializing now with people who have been selling one-on-one psychic services and spiritual life coaching for like ages, and now they want to start shifting out of one-on-one and they want to start getting into more of like the passive income, like having the multiple $1,000 days and without you even having to get to the computer. I mean, it is totally possible. I do it all the time. But here's where this third aspect, and this might be a little advanced for everybody in here, and it's okay if it is, but I still think it's worth talking about. You're going to have people like, and me, I do identify as this, and this is part of where I really struggle too, is you're going to have people that have a really high IQ, meaning let's say like 125, 130 to and on up. Okay. So people who are highly, highly intelligent, have been in like gifting programs and things like that. You get good at something and it begins to bore you. How many of you deal with that? It begins to bore you. So you move on to the next modality because you're no longer challenged. You know what I mean? This is a problem. It is a problem, and it is keeping you from really reaching the full potential in your coaching business. And Every time that you pivot your niche, every time that you switch, do a 180 in what you're specializing in, the reality is that it takes at least 1 year to build up a consistent audience, to build up people who start to recognize you as, what you actually specialize in. Doesn't matter what it is, it takes a minimum of about 1 year. Okay. If you already have an audience, then you can definitely cut that down to 6 to 9 months. But, if you're starting over from scratch and you really are, like, say you were a health coach and now you're shifting to psychic services, you might have a little bit of overlap, but chances are it's going to take you at least a year of releasing consistent content that, is going to actually showcase you as an expert, that's going to build trust with people, that's going to get your personality marketing coming across, that's really going to provide that foundation where people actually start, listening to you. They actually start showing up and things like that. But here's the problem. Here is the problem. Here is the actual underlying issue with that. And it's not because you're bored. And it took me a really, really long time to really figure this out for myself. It has nothing to do with boredom. What the underlying block to this is, it's not about not being challenged. It is strictly a commitment issue. It is commitment phobia. Okay. And it usually has to do with, most people that I talk to that have this, including myself, have deep-seated abandonment experiences in our lives. Okay. So that being said, it is really difficult, to commit yourself on your own. It really is. And if you have abandonment in your history, or you have this issue where you get bored and you pivot and you pivot and you pivot and you pivot, or you're constantly following the shiny thing and you're not really focusing, you're not staying in your own lane long enough to actually see the results of all of your hard work. Let's say you are showing up. Let's say you are releasing content that is showing you as an expert. And I mean educational content. I don't mean cards of the week or, messages of the day. That is not educational content. That is like so worthless in comparison to what actual educational content can actually do for your earning potential. And it's not that your clients can't actually do what they want to do. It's not that you can't do what you want to do. It's why you need a coach. It's why coaches are so valuable, because you need that accountability. Like I said, it's really hard for us to motivate ourselves, but it's really more that it's really hard to do it alone. It's really hard to do it if you don't have someone there motivating you or keeping you accountable or making sure that you're following through on your goals. And to be honest, very few people can ever accomplish great things by themselves. They say Rome wasn't built in a day, or they say it takes a village. I say that all the time. It takes a village, right? To start a business, to have a sustainable business. And without a coach, without a mentor or leader to show you the path, it's extremely, extremely difficult to do that. Hi, Emma. Good to see you. Hi, Jenna. You're welcome, Susan. Pet tigers. Yeah, and then as Kimberly's saying, I'm just going to paraphrase what she's saying because it's a lot, but there's also the idea that, in my opinion, like, this is a really female or feminine identifying dominated industry. It's not to say that we don't have men in our industry, but we have, I would say we're at least 80 to 90% a female dominated industry. And there is a huge problem, at least in America and really everywhere in the world, that women are, devalued. They're taught to not, that they can't ask as much as men, or there are systems and structures in place to devalue women to make it to where there is a pay gap. So yeah, there is that too, for sure. Hi, Pamela. Good to see you. Chelsea says, that's my ADHD. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I don't want to do card of the day resistance. Yeah, because it's it's an insult to your intelligence. I'm just going to be honest. Doing the cards of the day, the messages of the day, those are cute and they're fun and they're inspirational. But if that makes up 90% of your marketing, you're not going to get very fast. For me, while I respect what you say, I'm a very successful trail runner. It kicks my ass every day. It turns up unexpected emotions. Okay, I think there maybe is some miscommunication going on there. And that's a very different thing. Okay, are you a trail runner for your business, Pamela? Because I'm talking strictly about business right now. Our personal things that we do, that we pursue, that's a whole other ballgame. I'm strictly talking about how you show up in your business and how you relate to what it is that you actually teach and what you do in your business as far as like what your expertise is. Okay. So I totally get it, but for this purpose, I'm talking about how you're showing up in your business and not your personal interests. Two totally different things, right? So, and I sat around for like a year and a half really thinking about my next program because I've been sitting on this for a while. I've been sitting on this for a while. I have been trying to think what's next. I have the Make Tour Your Business mentorship program. It's awesome. There's 250 hours of content in there. There's 21 core modules, 5 workshops, 6 5-day challenges. We do twice per year. We do collabs. You get the Ask Christina thread, things like that. But I have people that are still kind of like working through it, and there's not a lot of coaching that goes on in that group because it is a course. It's a DIY course, and you have the Ask Christina thread where you can ask me questions every week. But I've been thinking about, okay, what's next? Like, what does everybody need next? And I've been thinking about it for a year. And so what I have come up with is a program to help you bust through the imposter syndrome that you're feeling. And specifically, this is going to be really for people who want to shift from being a tarot reader to a spiritual life coach. Okay. So if you are dealing with imposter syndrome, my goal over the next 6 months, starting next Monday, is to give you the mindset and the strategy and the tools that you need to actually make the shift, to start busting through some of these beliefs, to show you how you can actually, I'm going to do so many things. It's really a big program. There's going to be 12 trainings in it. And I'm going to talk about that here if you guys don't mind. I just kind of want to blow through what are some things that I'm going to be talking about. So semester 1, that's the first semester, is going to be about owning your worth. We're going to talk about abundance blocks, specifically the one that Leonie mentioned about being seen and visibility and getting attention and things like that. Fear of success. That's going to be a really, really big one that we're going to talk about. There's a couple other ones we're going to talk about too. But we're going to talk about like deservingness, and we're going to do exercises to help us overcome this idea of we don't deserve to have 6 figures, or that we're really not that smart and things like that. So we're going to talk also about philanthropy and, like aligning with our bigger vision. Like, what do we actually want to do for the world? You know what I mean? Like, more than just showing up and having financial security for ourselves. Like, what do we actually want to do? Like, do we want to build schools in Africa? Do we want to adopt, adopted children, or like through those programs, where you can, or, what is it that you want to do? What's bigger than yourself? Because if you don't have something bigger than yourself, showing up every day is going to be really, really hard. I'm just going to be honest. So you have to align with that bigger vision. Semester 2 is going to be all about how to actually become the expert. I'm going to teach you how to niche down. I'm going to teach you how to find what you're really good at. I'm going to teach you how to decide on like what to specialize in, not just what you're good at, but also what's actually profitable. I'm going to teach you my personal process that I've never revealed before on how to actually hone in on the type of content that will actually get you really visible. So even if you don't have a large audience, I'm going to teach you how to find what people who want to work with you are actually searching for, and then how to create content based off of those results that are actually going to get, people in front of you really, really quickly. So you don't have this thing where you're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to get me people, or I don't know if people are interested in this. And, I pulled my group and they said they wanted this and they said they didn't want that. Okay, we're going to get rid of all of that. That stuff doesn't matter. What other people in your audience are telling you, what they want from you, does not matter. What matters is what you actually want to create. And I'm going to tell you how to, and show you how to actually, go online, find that information, what people actually want to know based off of your interest, and how to construct content based off of that. We're also going to talk about, in that semester, we're going to talk about how to rewrite your story. We're going to talk about how you need a compelling story. Every coach needs a compelling transformational comeback story. Every single coach needs one. So I'm going to talk about like how to construct your story, that sort of thing. I'm also going to talk about myths and misconceptions, like what makes you unique. I'm going to talk about, okay, so granted, we find some other people who are doing a similar thing to you. Now, how do we make you stand out? How do we find your uniqueness? And I'm going to like really kind of touch on polarizing content, when to use polarizing content, when to use the method of this is me versus them, or this is wrong, or this is what I don't agree with, and here's the truth of it, that sort of thing, because that sort of content is going to get you noticed really, really fast. And there is a way to do it to where it's inspiring and not just like, dragging people through the mud and things like that, or engaging in low vibe type of marketing. So there is a way to do it without doing low vibe marketing. Semester 3 is going to be about designing your offers. The third semester is going to be about like how to package. Like a lot of you just don't know how to package, and that's a problem. So I'm going to talk to you about different ways that you can package. We're going to talk about how to manifest quick money. We're going to talk about how to manifest more long-term wealth creation. There's 2 different like strategies when it comes to that. We're going to talk about like group programs. We're going to discuss passive income. I want to just give you a whole bunch of ideas of ways that you can make money. And I want you to kind of pick out what fits your lifestyle, because honestly, I'm really, really tired of, the whole cookie cutter, you have to do it this way, or, it has to look like this. And the reality is it doesn't. It can look like anything you want it to look like. And part of this training specifically is I want to just give you a list of, different ideas that you can just kind of take and run with, or build hybrid programs and packages out of. Just, anything that, if it doesn't matter where you are in the journey, whether you are scared to get on the phone with someone or you've been on the phone with people for years and years and years, I want to give you options when it comes to how you can actually sell your time, and not just one-on-one, because that's boring. That's, you don't need a coaching program for that, really. But you do if you want to start, thinking about like doing group programs, or, having a 5,000 day instead of a 5,000 month. There is a certain strategy that you need to understand behind it. And there are certain nuances that are really, really important. We're also going to talk about how to build up your 3-month package too. So you'll have that, if you want to start, making money as far as like pre-selling out your time, you know what I mean? Instead of trying to hustle every day for a client, or, trying to get a client and, you have them booked out 2 weeks. Like, what if we could get people booked out 3 months from now? Like, how would that feel in terms of, your security and your belief in yourself, that you don't have to struggle every single day for this, dollar amount that you need? What if we could do that in a week, and then you could just, chill for the next couple weeks before, so you don't have to be in constant launch mode. That's really what it is. Being in constant launch mode is so exhausting. And, after about a year, it's just, you got to learn how to slow down. And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about there. Semester 4 is going to be all about how to create content, to actually get you clients. And instead of hustling all day online, like I just said, it's kind of like leading into that. I'm going to teach you how to work smarter, not harder. And I'm going to teach you what actual income generating activities, and they are not memes, and they are not messages of the day. They're not cards of the week. They're not tarot scopes. It's none of that. So if you're doing that kind of stuff, you're definitely going to want to think about joining this program, because there's so much more that you could do that would actually get you results much, much faster than doing what you see everybody else doing. Because chances are, if you see what everybody else is doing, you mimic that, you're not standing out, nobody is seeing you, and 9 out of 10 people don't know what they're doing anyways. So, don't be the person that's mimicking what you see everybody else doing, because if you don't have the strategy behind that, or if they've never, taken a marketing course or something like that, chances are they don't know, and you're just repeating stuff that other people don't know, and it's not helping anybody, right? In that one, we're going to talk about like opt-ins. We're going to talk about how to build up your mailing list. We're going to talk about like mindset for writing your copy, your sales pages, things like that. Talk about income generating activities, what is actually going to get you money versus, what is just going to make it seem like you're doing, you're showing up, but really in reality, it's just busy work, and it's not really going to translate to, the type of money and the type of clients that you really, really want to work with. And I spoke to my guides about this. I decided that I was going to make this program $111, and that's it. So for 6 months, of accountability, there's going to be 2 trainings per month. We meet every 2 weeks on Monday. You can watch the replay if you can't attend live. Let's say you're working at a job. And there will be a packet of homework that you will need to complete during that 2-week period before moving on to the next one. There's going to be also places where you can submit your homework and you can actually get feedback from me. So if you have questions, then you can, ask that when you submit your homework. So I really want to make this like accessible to people. But I also want to make this to where it's like you have that accountability, you have that motivation you need, because you'll be seeing me going live every 2 weeks. You'll have some new piece of homework to do. And I feel like 2 weeks is good. I feel like 2 weeks is enough time to where like if you actually keep up with it and you actually do it and you actually turn in your homework and you actually like commit to it, you will see results. And it's like, 2 weeks I think is a perfect amount of time between trainings, because it gives you enough time to finish your homework, but it doesn't give you enough time to really think about it, and like start to like pick at it and dig at it and things like that. Because I have found that multiple subtle shifts over time translate to one big shift, right? So that's kind of how I teach. I kind of load you up with a whole bunch of little things to do. And it's these little teeny little, micro shifts that lead up to a bigger transformation over time. Because let's be honest, I mean, a lot of us don't have a lot of time. It's really hard for us to commit to anything. And so I want to make this to where it's like, it's fun and exciting. And it's not like, oh, Christina's going live and I have more homework to do every single Monday and it just starts to get old after 6 months. I feel like 2 weeks is a good enough time period where you'll be able to stay accountable. You'll be able to submit homework. I won't get burned out. And, we'll be able to work together for 6 months and it'll still be exciting. It'll still be fun and interesting. So that's why I've set it up this way, which is a little bit different than I've done programs in the past, where it's usually either we're meeting once a month or every single week. So this is going to be kind of a new thing for me. And I really am excited about that. But I've actually got a really special offer. So some of you have been asking about the Make Sure Your Business Mentorship Program. I have like 50 something people on the list right now from the last period of wait list. So those of you who are interested in the Make Sure Your Business program. So let me backtrack really quickly and just briefly like tell you what the difference is. So the 6-month program is going to be about how it's going to involve 12 trainings, and it's going to take you through like mini step-by-step processes, strategy, mindset, that kind of stuff to help you shift from tarot reader to life coach. The Make Tarot Your Business Mentorship Program is like all of the like sales page templates, live stream templates, everything like the tools, the actual tools that you need. It talks more in depth about some of the things that we're going to talk about in the 6-month program. These two together would be an insane powerhouse together, because what I found is that most people in the Make Tarot Your Business Mentorship Program, like after about 6 months, they tend to kind of taper off because they lose that momentum. Because I'm going to be honest, it's a beast of a course to get through. It's a lot of content, but it's there and it will take you to 5 to 10K months easily if you go through it, if you have the ambition enough to get through it, right? But where I find that most people actually kind of taper off is at like the 6-month mark. So if you were to do the Make Tarot Your Business Mentorship Program and you were to do the Trusted Tarot Reader to Respected Life Coach Program at the same time, you would be getting that insane amount of accountability, because you would have the 6-month program where you would just kind of dip into and just slightly dive into some of these ideas, more of the mindset behind it. And then you would have the mentorship program that you could go in and actually find like how to actually set up your newsletter, how to set up your opt-ins. I'm not going to actually teach you really how-tos in the 6-month program. At $111, I just can't justify that amount of content. The 6-month program is going to be mostly mindset and a little bit of strategy. The Make Tarot Your Business Mentorship Program is like the how-to. It gives you the templates, the guides, the instructional videos. Okay, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. Okay. So does that make sense with everybody, like what the differences are? We've already got about, I think the last time I checked, we had like 16 or 17 people just from the mentorship program alone who have already RSVP'd for this. If you are in the mentorship program, you're going to want to look in the pinned post. There's a special deal for you over there as well. But if you want to just do the 6-month program, it's $111. Okay. No brainer. That's an easy investment. You're not going to miss $100. That's a couple days on the hotlines of, just a couple hours, just to make up that investment. Really not a big deal. Your first hour that you sell as a spiritual life coach, you could sell for $100. Boom, you make that investment back. No brainer. If you want to do like the big package is going to be $497. The mentorship program is $444 right now. That's the price it's going to stay at. I'm not raising it anymore. We're actually going to keep enrollment open for, all summer pretty much. Probably close it like around October, and then we'll be open next year. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the mentorship program open for a little while. And then if you want to do the 6 months program on top of that, it's going to be $497. So it actually gives you about $55 in savings, and it just lumps it all into one payment, so you don't even have to worry about it. Now, as far as doing that, there is a special sales page that I'll send you guys to after we're done with our talk for today. But again, it's now or never. It's like one of those things where I have everything that you need. You just kind of have to decide that you want it too. You have to decide that you want it as much as I do. And the nice thing about both of these programs is that they're lifetime access. So what that means is that, let's say, you're really gung-ho for the first 3 months and then something in life happens. Okay, I understand, it happens. And maybe you dip out for like a month. Well, it's going to be there when you get back. It's not like it's one of those situations where you have to do it all within a certain amount of time. In fact, I have people that have been in the mentorship program for 4 years, and who are still kind of working through content, still kind of going back and things like that. So it is an ongoing process. And I really recommend, personally, you give it at least a year to get through the course, to get through the implementation. And the first 6 months of that year, if you join my 6-month program, you're going to find that you're going to get off to a really, really good start. Okay. So like I said, it's $497. I will put some links in the comments below where you guys can, check it out, read the sales pages, meditate on it, pull a card on it if you want. If you have any questions about like what's in it, or if you think that you would be, if you want to know if you would be a good fit, I'll be honest with you. I'm not here to sell you anything that you don't need. If you're not going to get results, then I'm not going to sell it to you. The reality is that I don't really need the money, but I like to make this available to people because I know a lot of you have really gotten a lot of great results from other things that I have been doing and other programs that you've been in with me with. And the business program itself is like the cherry on top. I mean, it is just, am I conceited saying it is literally the best, marketing course for tarot readers out there? I don't think so. It took me a long time to really understand the value of that, and most of it has come from other people who have come to me who have said, I invested $2,000 in this program, I got nothing out of it. I spent $400 on your program, and I'm still using it 4 years later. So it's up to you, really, like how much you really want this and how dedicated you are. But at the same time, I'm not one of those coaches that's like, we have to do this right now and we only get a certain amount of time with me. I actually prefer to work with people for years. Preferably, I like to work with people for up to 3 years at a time. And so I think that that's a really healthy balance between the level of investment for both programs, which is $497 again, and the value, the insane value that you're actually going to get out of these programs. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to take comments and questions here in just a moment. Yeah. Christina says, has changed my, Susie says, Christina has changed my entire business because of her. I was able to quit my job and live my true essence as a witchy life coach. Thank you. She way overgives. Thank you. Leonie says, me. Leonie, you're in it. Susie, you're in it. Jenna, you're in it. Jenna says, I know you always give your 100,000% and over deliver, so I am in. Yep, Freya's in. Yeah, launching is exhausting, and being in constant launch mode is really exhausting. Lynn says, work smarter, not harder. Sounds good to me. Right. Lisa's going to sign up. Freya says, Emma just said, did she say homework? Yes. Jenna says, I think 2 weeks is perfect. Chelsea says, excited. Chelsea's in it. How long would the 6-month program be open for enrollment? Well, that's a good question. I'm actually going to keep it open for enrollment, but you're not going to be able to get the bonus. Like, you can still join at any time, but you're not going to get, if you want to do the mentorship program and you want to do the 6-month program, this Friday is going to be the final day that I'm going to be offering the $497 deal. After that, it's going to be full price for either. So it's up to you if you want to save the $55 now. Start date is 5/6. That's next Monday. Susie says, do it. So effing worth it. I'm in both programs, and I know Christina Quick is awesome. Thank you. It gives us a lot of time. Yeah. Hi, Anna. Good to see you. Yeah, Leonie says, so true, Susie and Marissa. Great examples of how your problems work. So I hope you got something out of today. I hope you understand now more about like this imposter syndrome. I hope you understand like what it is that's actually keeping you from making the shift. And I hope I've inspired you at least a little bit to consider, dipping into the coaching world, even if you are a little bit reluctant to do so or reluctant to kind of claim that title for yourself. I will be around today for the next couple hours. So if you have questions and you want to know if this program's right for you or either one, or if you want to do the bundle and see if that's right for you, I'll be around. Ask me questions, inbox me, just send me a friend request first so it doesn't go into my other inbox. And I hope that I will see you guys in the program. I will put links into the description box and I will put links into the comment box after I get off live stream. So that way that, it pops up after I'm off and I can sit and, get everything together for you guys. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun talking to you, and I will see you guys at the next live stream. Bye.